part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, hello, hello. We are back again for another episode of the Ball Card Show. I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster.
And we're coming at you in real time wherever you're listening to this, whenever. This is really happening.
There's no COVID between us this week.
There's not. Oh, and as always,
Yes.
we're brought to you by the Press Play Podcast Network.
Correct.
And this is the Sports Podcast.
Or the Sports Collector.
All right, let's jump right into it. I'm feeling at least 40% better than I did a week ago.
Yeah, although you have been complaining every day that you're hitting a wall at about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and you're like, nope, this day's done.
Yeah, the breathing thing, which is great because when you work on garage doors in the summer,
And it's like 98,
Easy
99
breathing.
degrees.
Yeah. Who needs to
Super
breathe?
easy to breathe.
So if you hear some heavy breathing, well, not like my normal obese heavy breathing, but like COVID heavy breathing,
We're slightly excited because I look pretty good today.
you do look pretty good.
I do look
What
pretty
shirt
good.
we got? Well,
I got a little Kylo Ren Funko shirt on.
You're too old
Yeah.
for that one.
Nah.
You're really bothered by my insults.
No, and I'm rocking my Stimpy socks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna jump right in with some.
We don't want to talk about my fashion choices anymore.
No, we got some football coming up. We got some hobby news, and then we got a fun little game we're gonna play. Building out our dream lineups for Junk Wax Era
I was
baseball.
going to make a terrible joke, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, because this is not that podcast. Starting off right away, I've really been enjoying Hard Knocks on HBO this season with the Lions.
Yeah, and Hard Knocks always, when they do the show, they do a great job of filming it and a great job of editing it, and they make it so that you start to have some hope in whatever the team is.
Yeah.
That being said, the Lions, even though they didn't win a lot of games last year, they were very competitive across the board. They had leads in the fourth quarter in like 10 or 11 games. Like they just a young team that hasn't learned how to win, and they've got Jared Goff as their quarterback, which is, nobody really knows. Like early in his career, he was bad, and then it was like, oh, he's really good, and then it was like, oh, now he's not that great again, and who knows. But I will say this. The Lions look competitive. They look like they're going to be fun to watch. And I don't know about you, but everybody, when Dan Campbell got that job, even people in the NFL were like, what? How did Dan Campbell? Why are the Lions going like full Cleveland Browns right now? What is happening? Watching this, I get why they hired Dan Campbell. Like, Dan Campbell's good. He's good.
Yeah, he's too good for Miami, and that's why that never worked out. That would have been too good. He came in an interim role, which is tough because it really puts your senior leadership in a tough position. Now that we know senior leadership prefers to tank the team, it makes perfect sense why we got rid of him. So, yeah, Dan is out, and but I really enjoy watching him. Man, here's what we're going to do, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't care if you have 3 toes and 1 ass cheek. Like,
Yeah,
it was amazing.
that was a good one.
It was so good.
That was a good one. And
Him doing up downs with everybody.
that was funny. There's been Hutchinson's for real.
Oh man, he's real freaking good.
Really, but like I'm gonna be pulling for the Lions. I think they're gonna win. I think they'll win. 7 is the threshold.
I think
7
7
games
to 8
is a
pretty,
huge improvement for the program. If they win 5, it's not going to be terrible.
I want to wait and see what happens. One of my favorite things about Hard Knocks so far has been watching Aaron Glenn and Deuce Staley just lay into each other.
Yeah.
I want to watch the sideline during games and see if they're doing it.
That coaching
during
staff
games.
has such good chemistry.
Oh yeah,
I think.
I didn't realize Mark Brunell was on that staff.
Right.
Did you see his coaching tips of the day?
Yeah.
Hey guys, in my coaching tips for the day, throw it to our guys, don't throw it to their guys. That's all I got for you. I was like, okay.
And what's he getting paid? What would you guess?
NFL quarterbacks coach who made a lot of money in the NFL. He's probably making $600 to $800 a year would be my guess, somewhere in that range.
Wow. Not bad to tell the people critical advice like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so I've been enjoying that. Hopefully they are able to have a decent
And Amon-Ra St. Brown's one of my sleepers.
Yeah.
I love that kid. So
But it's been fun to watch.
I didn't realize
that.
his dad was Mr. Universe twice.
How old do you feel when you watch it? And because at this point, I'm like, those guys are kids.
Yeah, I felt that way for many, many years.
I'm there now.
Yeah.
I think mid-30s is when you're like, oh, yeah, I'm never going to be younger than my sports heroes anymore.
No.
That's pretty much it.
True story.
But, yeah, so that was fun. Next thing I want to jump into, you ran out to Indiana to this big card show.
Yeah, it was
and-
almost to Chicago.
Yeah, you had a really good experience with it. Why don't you give me an idea of what you're seeing in the card show scene? And
Yeah,
what
so
your experience-
here's what I saw. So this was a 2-day show. It was in Merrillville, which is about 45 minutes from Chicago, northern Indiana, just real close to the Illinois
Oh, you had
border.
like a
It was
5-hour
like a
drive.
5.5 hour drive, yeah. I get there. It's a 150 table show. It's in an amazing venue. There's only one complaint that I had about the venue, and if there wasn't an ATM on site, because it was at like a community center. It's like a really fancy community center YMCA. There's no ATM on site, but the facility itself was fantastic. It helped that they had some relatively big name signers from the area. Horace Grant was there signing. Khalil Herbert was there signing. I think Jalen Johnson might have been there signing. Bears
Could you
guys.
imagine? So if I'm going to Horace Grant, like I'm ordering rec specs for him to sign.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
And then you get that certified. How would
Well, JSA was on site, so
if I'd have thought about that, I totally would have done that and had
yeah,
you get
and
that.
I
signed.
would have. I brought a couple things that I wanted JSA to cert for me, and I didn't have time.
Mm-hmm.
So this was my experience at this show, 2-day show. The first day on Saturday of the show, I got there at the doors opened for vendors at 8 a.m. and you had from 8 to 10 to set up, and then the public was allowed in at 10. I got there right at 8. I had my table set up by about 8:40. And within 10 minutes of having my table set up, there were 2 other dealers that came by my table, and I had my $1 and $2. I had a $1 3-row box, a $2 3-row box, and then a 3-row box that was prices marked. The $1 box, there wasn't anything in there worth less than $2 to $3. The $2 box, there wasn't anything in there worth less than $3 to $8, and there were a couple of like $25 cards that I didn't realize were in there that people got very lucky on, and good for them. And my prices marked box was all 70 to 80% of comps. Within the first 10 minutes of having the lids off of my boxes, I had done almost $1,100 to 2 other dealers who immediately just took the cards back to their table and priced them up and put them in their boxes, which was fine with me. It'll take them 6 months to sell all that stuff. They will eventually make money on it, but I made money fast on it. Long story short, here's what I found at the show. Dealers that were set up like I was with really, really good value in lower end boxes killed. Dealers that set up at 3, 4, 5 shows a month all over the country that have showcases with $2 million worth of stuff in them did $1,200 for the whole show. There wasn't a period of time over the 2 days where I had more than 3 or 4 minutes of peace at my booth. On Saturday, there wasn't any moments of peace at my booth. There were 2 to 4 people at the booth at all times digging through stuff. And there wasn't a single human being who went through boxes that didn't spend money at my table.
But the majority of what you pulled was off of the lower end.
Yeah, I mean, I sold a good bit of stuff out of my prices mark box because it was competitive. It was 70 to 80% of comps. And, I probably sold 15% of my total sales were out of my showcases. Probably 20 to 25% of my sales were out of my sealed wax. And I have older sealed wax. It's not a bunch of brand new stuff. And then the rest of it was out of my boxes.
So this brings up a really good point. You have a lot of people that have been saying, oh, the market's going dead, the market this, the market that, just because some prices have gone down because we had hysteria in 2020. But the reality is this: if you price things competitively, the fact that you have a show and people are at your booth nonstop the whole weekend means the hobby's not dead.
No, not
It's
dead
just
at all.
people overpaid. It was a very short-term thinking in a lot of ways. You were even telling me, now I don't know that this particular situation with this card, but there was a particular dealer at the show that had the Willie Mays that was marked at what, 3,800? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
And he was offered,
32.
to which the reply was,
It was just a rude kind of grunt There wasn't even. It was an older guy. He was at the booth right beside me, and I tried to talk to him 2 or 3 times, and he was just grumpy. I think that was another reason that I had as much success as I did, because I just engaged with people, talked to people, had a good time with them, talked sports, talked cards. This guy had that. He just kind of grunted at the guy, didn't counter offer, nothing, and he lost a sale.
It wasn't like the guy said $1,000.
Yeah, it was like he asked for like 15% off, and if that guy would have countered at like 35, they probably would have made a deal. And that was the kind of the ongoing joke. I talked to dozens and dozens and dozens of people at my booth over the weekend, and I said to all of them, because everybody kept saying, "Man, you have some of the best prices at the show. You have some," and I was like, "I'm here to sell cards. I'm not here to show and tell cards. Like, I want people to come to my booth, walk away with a stack of cards, and feel like they won. That's what I want to happen.
Yeah.
And you can do that. You don't have to do it with every single card in your booth if you're setting up at shows, but you got to have wins for customers.
Yeah. You made a couple trades. I want to hear.
I made a few. I made a few really nice deals. I picked up a Joe Montana autograph. It's a Beckett certified auto.
What's that? The Unsung Heroes insert?
Yeah, from like 92 or 93 Upper Deck.
What's cool about that is you have like a junk wax nostalgic card.
Yeah.
Everybody my age to your age remembers that card. And back in the day, you weren't pulling autos out of boxes. You were thinking maybe one day I'll run into Joe Montana and get this autograph.
Right, exactly.
So for that junk wax era, when you see those on-card autos where you know somebody got to meet them, it's like what it took for that to get signed. Like there's an intrinsic value there. So
I picked that up. I picked up one of my guys I've been chasing hard right now. I got a Manny Machado purple refractor in a rookie in an SGC 9.5. I picked up in the same deal an Ichiro rookie.
I'm still mad at you. I texted you immediately. I want to buy that card.
Yeah, but then I had a guy offer me way more than what it was worth, and I was
What's
just
this
like,
friendship worth? Because it's
Well,
strained right now.
You can go buy one for what you were going to buy one from me for.
I know, but I would have it in my hand right now.
That's fair. You would. I picked that up and sold it immediately. A lot of the stuff I picked up, I moved. I picked up one of my favorite deals from the show. One of the things I enjoyed the most was one of the things that I saw a lot of was younger kids, under 15.
Yeah.
And they are wheeling and dealing. Like, they know what they're doing. But I had a kid come up to my booth, and he had a bunch of ultra-modern stuff. And he had some Prism and some Optic. He had an Optic Javonte Williams blue numbered to 299. And he had a gold laser Trey Lance and a pink. Was it pink? Yeah, it was pink Trey Lance. And he said, "Do you buy or trade?" And I said, "Well, I'm always happy to look." That's what I told most people. And I looked through it. I said, "Well, these are the 3 you've got that I'd be interested in. What do you want for them?" Now, I had not looked up comps on these cards for 2 weeks. I had no clue on the Javonte Williams, but I know he's a running back. And the Trey Lances, the last I had looked at them, they were about $40 a piece. He said, "I think I want 80 for all 3. And I said, "Well, if you want to trade, I can give you $80 in trade. You look through the cases, look through boxes. If there's stuff you want, we'll work it out. If you want cash, I'd probably be around 65. He took about 10 minutes. His dad was there with him. They looked through stuff, and he was like, "No, I think I'll just take the cash." I said, "Okay." So I grabbed him, and then I got busy. And about 15 minutes later, I had a window where I sat down and looked them up. Those Lances are $90 a piece is what they're comping at now. And the Javonte was comping at about 50. So I ended up taking those 2 Trey Lances, and in another deal, moved those, took the profits from that, and was able to buy a select silver field level Jalen Hurts in a CSG 10. Hurts is sneaky, and you might have missed the boat to really make money on him, but there's still some good deals out there. Kid, I don't think he has an incompletion in the preseason yet.
I am so sick over how many paralleled Prism Hurts that were graded like 9s and 10s that I sold for nothing.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yep.
That's
so
why.
that was my card show experience.
Yeah, well, and one of the other things you said when we were talking on the phone that I thought was really interesting, and I get why if people were doing 3 to 5 of these a month, but you were saying there were a lot of dealers that had no prices on the cards, and they just had the phones out, And I was trying to, it made me wonder. So at the National, I don't know if you heard, like there was no Wi-Fi. It was like
Right.
$80 and it was terrible if you had it.
Yeah.
So those dealers that just had a color-coded sticker, but no pricing, were in a tough spot. Do you think that some of the community aspect of that is lost with everybody going straight to eBay comps and everything else with it? Or
I think that here's how I look at it. I know when I attend shows, if I walk to your table and you don't have prices on things, I just keep walking. I don't care what you have. Because
what does it make? In my mind, I'm like, I don't want to play a game.
Yeah, but same. If
Yeah.
you don't know how much you want for a card, how the hell am I supposed to know how much you want for a card?
Yeah.
And if this is what you do for a living, now let me phrase this delicately because I don't want to piss off a lot of my dealer friends that I have. There's a certain contingent of people who do this for a living because it doesn't require much in the way of effort, and they're just lazy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a dealer and this is what you do for a living, and you're too lazy to price your cards, that's on you, man.
At least the display.
And comments. I had comments over and over the weekend. Man, I'm so glad you have price. There was one card in my entire booth that didn't have a price on it, and that was that 1-of-1 Derek Jeter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was there just to get people's attention. And when people asked about it, I would tell them all the same thing. Hey, it's the only card here that doesn't have a price on it. If you're interested in it, we can have a discussion. I kind of have a number in my mind, but we can have a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the end of the day, if you think you're going to say, I had a lot of people asking me, I thought about doing this. How does this work? And have good value, have a lot of really strong quality, low end stuff that you're willing to sell.
Yeah.
But for me, I rip a lot. So I have a lot of that stuff. And it's an easy way to recoup your money. If you rip a lot of Bowman or you rip a lot of Topps, put your color rookies that aren't great in your dollar box. They'll fly. They'll absolutely fly. Otherwise, they're just going to sit on a shelf in your office on a storage shelf somewhere for who knows how long.
Yep.
Go nuts.
Yep.
But you can do it, and it was good. I think I'm going to go back for they have another one in December. I think I'm going to set
Yeah,
up.
if I can get out there with you, I'm going to.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun for the show to get out there, interview some people, you know.
Yep.
Okay, what we got next? Mickey Mantle update. So we've got the 9.5.
2 days left.
2 days left right now with the buyer's premium. We're at 8.1 million.
Yep.
We both are thinking it's going to hit 10.
It'll heat up. The last 6 hours of bidding, it will heat up.
A $10 million baseball card.
Yep. What's crazy is I just saw a picture today of a 1952 Topps 5-cent pack in a PSA 9 holder. What do you think that bad boy's worth?
Possibilities are endless.
I mean, there's about 5,000 known graded copies of the actual Mantle card. I think the population in a PSA 9 of that pack is 1.
That's like a piece of art. Somebody's going to, yeah. Well, that's not our problem. A couple of hobby product drops. Everything's gearing up towards football. First one we have is Select Football. Hitting at about $1,500 a box, seeming to get a little more love than Prism was this year on a release. So you have Select, and then you have First Off the Line.
First Off the Line is running about $2,000.
Yeah.
Has some exclusive parallels. I actually hopped in 2 single box breaks of Select last night. Select Hobby. The one box, there were 2 1-of-1s that came out of it. They weren't massive 1-of-1s. It was like a Jamal Anderson auto and a Trey Sermon auto 1-of-1. Still really pretty cards. The design on Select this year, I really like, especially the field levels. So I don't know that it's worth $1,400 to $1,500 a box, but that's what it's going for.
Could be a fun break. So one thing that stands out with Select, most of you in the hobby know this, but if you don't know, they have a series of redemptions, a set of redemptions called XRC in there. In the past, when this product releases, you still have an upcoming draft.
Yes.
And so a card may say
QB1.
QB1, which means the first drafted quarterback in the draft. And what's the redemption for? An autographed rookie?
No, some
Just
of them are
a-
autographs, some of them are not, but they're all super, super, super short print,
Yeah.
like of 25 or less.
So what's cool about that product, imagine the draft's coming up. You could hit this redemption. You don't know what it's going to be, but you may get LB1, linebacker 1. Well, that would have been pretty solid,
Yeah.
or QB1, RB1. You get the idea. Well, this year, because of how delayed product releases have been, we know who these players are going to be. So it's going to add some excitement.
They're actually
because
live. It's not
Yeah.
redemptions.
Yes.
So if you get an XRC of Kenny Pickett,
It's in there.
it's the
Yeah.
actual
Yep.
card. Yeah.
Yep. So pretty cool product. Retail wise, it's held its value compared to a lot of other retail products. It's still pretty desirable. It's not super cheap, but they did make a change. Is it Select this year?
Yes, Select. There's a rumor. Now, I haven't confirmed it, but this is what the conversations that I have heard have been. And I don't think retail's going to drop for another 2 weeks. But the rumor is that there will be no field level cards available
So
in retail.
what are the different levels? So
So
essentially with Select, you have an image of the player, but from different views was the idea. So
Yeah.
wherever you would be sitting, and it's the same with basketball. They have different names, but with football, what are the different? You have concourse,
You've got concourse. You've got club level, premier level, field level.
and those are in order of most
Nosebleeds.
common. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
working
so
with it.
how SP does it get when you're down at field level? Do you have
Well,
any idea?
field level, the rumors are there's one field level for every 6 or 7 of the concourse, which is the like base.
Okay.
So it's a short print. It's not insane, but then they do have numbered versions too. Like in retail last year, football wise, the field levels, retail, there was 2 different subsets. There was a numbered subset, and then there was a die cut
Yeah.
subset,
Yeah.
as well as just your regular field
And what's
levels.
cool about that is when you think about a player that you're excited about collecting, Select's a great product for that because you have essentially more than one version of an SP that you can just pull out that's kind of a base rookie, but it's a little more limited. If you're collecting a player, you're not exactly building a rainbow, but you could go for
Right.
graded 10s on each of those. So it's a good product. Sometimes I feel like the border and frame's a little too busy for me. But some of those variations that they come up with are ridiculous. I wish I could open and rip some Select where the die cut is not destroyed when I get it out.
Yeah, or centering,
Which it's any die cut,
Centering
really, but-
this year has been brutal. What I've seen so far in Prism stuff, the quality control has just been horrifying. Optic hasn't been as bad from what I've seen. Select Hobby, what I saw wasn't terrible. We'll see what retail looks like, but the die cuts this last year were, if you got one that was centered, you had in my opinion, an SSSP.
super short print.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. Optic Football has dropped. It's about $1,400 a
It's
box.
expensive. It's an expensive
At
product.
that price point, I'm not as excited. If it was under $1,000 at Hobby, I think there's a little more there. Optic is still really cool because you build out the rainbows. You get a lot of variations, but that was a more accessible hobby product for quite some time.
Well, I mean, it was just the shiny version of Donruss.
Yeah.
That's all that it was. I mean,
It's like the Topps Chrome of
well, here's again, and we bang this drum a lot. 2019, a hobby box of Donruss was $69.95. 2019, a hobby box of Optic was like $148, $149. I don't think that the product is worth 10 times what it was 3 years ago.
So when Fanatics does this product at $900, we're
Who
going to
knows
feel
if they're going to even do this?
well. If they
product.
do, we'll
Yeah.
feel like it's a win, but we're still paying 10x.
I don't think it'll be a 9. I was so. We talked about this last week. And I don't want to get in the weeds with it, but we down that rabbit hole. But I talked about it with a few.
There's a
people at the
rabbit
show,
involved
too.
for
Yeah.
sure.
The Fanatics cutting off GTS really felt to me like a warning shot across the bow of these distributors. Hey, you don't get to make more money than hobby shops do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to make a bigger percentage than the people who are actually selling our product to end users anymore.
Yep.
Those distributors are one of the biggest reasons that hobby box prices have gotten to where they are because they don't actually allocate and give out what they get. They 30% of it, and then they rake the prices through the roof on it the rest of the way. So
jerks. All right, just a few real quick NFL updates, and then we're gonna do that fun little junk wax baseball segment. Up first, Mayfield is the guy.
Told you guys to buy him last week.
And actually, what I heard was the front office in Carolina was listening to the podcast, and they said, "You know what? Gary said it."
They didn't need to listen to the podcast. You don't pay a guy $8 million, pick up part of his contract, and bring him in if you're going to not start him.
That's true. That team gets real interesting if McCaffrey stays healthy.
Correct. Yeah. They have a very functional offense.
Did I say McCaffrey?
You did. That's correct.
Yeah. I wanted to add a RT, McCafferty.
No, it's just McCaffrey. You remember who his dad was, right?
No.
Ed McCaffrey? Receiver for the Broncos?
I don't remember.
He had like 600 catch seasons.
How old is he?
Mid-90s. He played there when like Shannon Sharp was there and Rod.
Champ Bailey?
What was Rod?
Who was the running back I really liked watching?
Terrell Davis.
Terrell Davis.
He was there.
Okay,
he was one of the Super Bowls.
I remember that crew.
Anyhow, go ahead.
Anyway, of course I knew that. Seattle does not know exactly what they're doing at QB, but all indications are leaning towards Locke being the guy.
They were having an open competition. They were going to let each one of them start a game and play a half and then make a decision. Well, Drew Lock got COVID. That gave Geno Smith 2 starts. And a lot of people were like, yeah, that's probably going to be it. They're going to go Geno Smith. Geno Smith has not looked good. That offense has looked moribund. I think that if Drew Lock starts week 3 and the offense moves the ball at all, Drew Lock will be the starter there, which I like as a play anyway. So I did sell a couple of nice Geno Smith rookie cards over the weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Though.
I had a few of those.
I had an
collection,
50 Topps Finest patch that I sold for like 10 or $15.
Yeah. Nice. And then finally, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the New England Patriots look like they're going to be terrible this year.
Well, I told you, I'm all in on the Bill Belichick is the greatest head coach in the history of team sports guy. I believe that. But I think that what you are going to see this year is one of the few times in Bill Belichick's coaching tenure with the Patriots where you had this collision of arrogance and familiarity. I think that the arrogance has shown itself over the last 2 to 3 years in letting Tom Brady walk, and but bringing in 2 guys that you're super familiar with who have been on your coaching staff, neither one who has ever coached on the offensive side of the football at any level of football.
Yeah.
To bring them into an NFL locker room and expect one of them to be able to eventually become your offensive coordinator. We are 10 days away, 12 days away from the season starting. They don't have an offensive coordinator. They don't know who's going to call the plays.
I think you're right on the arrogance side of it and familiarity. I think there was always a kid getting in trouble in class when you were a kid, and he had straight A's. He was bored. I was still figuring out long division, and he was, he was exchanging letters for numbers already.
Yeah.
I think Belichick is, a lot's been taken away from that program over the last couple of years. He's excited about the challenge, and I think he wants to run all sides of the ball. And I think
he's not capable.
I know, but I don't know if you saw
is.
this. He's also a UFC heavyweight champion. Dana White showed up to training camp, put a belt on him, and Bill Belichick smiled at training camp.
Yeah.
In a video.
They don't know who's going to call the plays, and that's going to set Mac Jones back in a big way.
And they're going to have issues with Buffalo and Miami this year.
Well, Buffalo's going to run roughshod over that
let's
division.
not overdo it, bro.
They're going to run roughshod over that division. It's going to be ugly.
Well, it ain't going to be the Jets.
No, although I think the Jets are going to probably be the 3rd best team in that division.
Yep.
Maybe the 2nd best team. It'll be between them and the Dolphins.
They won't. The Dolphins are... We're not going to talk about Tua, but let's just say there's some people down in Miami that think he figured out how to throw football. We'll find out. This is his last chance. We'll know. I'm going to give him 5 weeks. 5 weeks. Week 5, Tua.
Free Teddy.
Yeah. Just on the record, this week I called you about Tua.
Yep.
And the conversation was, I'd like to buy a lot of your SP2 deeply discounted, like you talked about a while back. So that offer still stands. You seemed a little more hesitant than you did a couple weeks ago.
No, I just got to pull it out.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that?
It's more of a, I got to take the time to dig it out because I didn't take it to the show.
Didn't even take it to the show?
No, nobody's buying Tua.
I'm buying Tua. Buying all of it. All right, let's have some fun.
Okay.
I'm having fun. So we are going to... One thing that we spend a lot of time on is the ultra modern stuff. We'll reference like big auctions and sales that are happening with older cards, different eras. But Gary and I, make no mistake about it, are predominantly our love for sports cards is rooted in the junk wax era.
Oh, yeah.
That's just
a few years back from you, but in general, yeah.
But that space. So something that I thought would be fun to do is I told him today to think about it, and we both came up with our starting lineup from the junk wax era for baseball. So 9 positions. We'll talk about the players we picked, the rookie card that's our favorite, and then maybe just expound a tiny bit on it. Some similarities, some differences. So here we go. And here's the thing too. I think we'll have some version of this up on Facebook. I'd love to hear what your lineup would be because I'm sure some of the listeners out there would have different opinions or how could you skip this
give
person?
Them our parameters. So our parameters were they had to be
rookies.
Lose rookie eligibility between 1985 and 1994.
With the exception of one
well,
that I refused to give up.
You refused to give up. I was like, no, that doesn't count. You were like, I'm keeping it. Okay.
That's just paying the cost to be the boss, bro. All right, up first. Let's just go with our starting pitcher.
Okay.
You go first.
Greg Maddux.
Greg Maddux.
I don't even think there's a debate.
What did you love about watching him?
I've never seen a pitcher with better control, and I've never seen a pitcher who understood the batters he was pitching to as well as he did. There are so many stories of Bobby Cox coming out to the mound to try to take Greg Maddux out of a game, and Maddux going, listen, this guy that's coming up, I'm going to throw him a backdoor slider. I'm going to throw him a backdoor slider. He's not going to swing at either one. And then I'm going to throw a changeup on the inside part of the plate, and he's going to ground to third. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, the control and the discipline was
it was
ridiculous.
A beautiful thing to watch.
Technician. Plus, when he had those glasses, he looks like a hipster right now. Like the cool kids wear that.
Yeah, he was the inspiration for Charlie Sheen.
Yep.
Yeah. In Major
I don't
League.
think we're gonna disagree on anything here. But
it's just
we'll
just
pick different ones.
Yeah.
Which rookie card did you go with on him?
87 Topps traded Tiffany.
Yeah.
And 87 Leaf update.
No.
Is also there too.
Okay.
But the Tiffany is the go-to card for that era.
Okay. I went with the big unit, Randy Johnson. Just such a dominant. It's almost like you were watching a rock star that was also an elite athlete.
Once he figured it out.
Yeah. But him being so unhinged was part of the beauty of watching him. And like that was when they started really breaking down the science of if someone can he killed a bird. He refuses to autograph anything with that image.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize
I don't know
that.
if PETA got him in trouble or
That's
something.
funny.
But people try to get him to sign that and he won't sign it.
What if they get him to sign just a feather?
I don't know. I don't know where the line is, but I feel like you can get Horace Grant to sign Rex Specs a lot easier than you can get Randy Johnson to sign a feather. But I remember just watching like any sports commentary and how it shifted when they started talking about when someone can extend that close to home plate.
Oh, it adds 4 miles an hour.
He's reaching halfway to home plate before he releases the ball. So one of my favorite moments with him was John Kruk at the All-Star game with him where Randy Johnson threw like 2 right at the chin because he always crowded the plate. And then John Kruk like bowed out gracefully in his strikeout. He couldn't wait to get out of there. Yeah. But for me, the iconic rookie card is the 89 Fleer with the Marlboro sign. It's a SP. There were some of them that had the Marlboro lit up in the background.
There's 4 different variations.
Yeah.
There's a partially blocked, a fully lit one, and then a completely blacked out
Like
one.
what's more 1989 public gathering than a Marlboro ad?
With a Marlboro ad.
Exactly. Expos, uniforms, all that kind of stuff. So that would be my pitcher.
I miss the Expos.
Yeah, man. That's a sweet logo.
Yeah, it didn't mean anything. It was just fun to look at.
Expos had a stint in Puerto Rico. And I don't know if it was like a alternative games or something like that, but I remember because I had family there, my dad or grandpa got me a Expos jersey that was like the Puerto Rico one, and that was really cool. Okay, let's move on to catcher. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
I went with Mike Piazza. When you look at the hobby, just the love that he got, people went nuts for him. Just a great catcher. He had a
Do you
loyal.
think he was a great catcher? He was a really good hitter.
Maybe a better way of saying this is perhaps the most loved catcher of that era.
Okay, that's fair.
Like
If he
people
played
just
today, he'd
loved
be a
him.
DH.
Yeah. People just loved him. There are a couple rookie cards, but the one that I remember the most that I would buy today if I was buying his rookie card would be the 92 Bowman. I just love how ugly the border is on that card, how plain it is. It's the same look as the Mariano Rivera.
Yep.
But yeah, that would be the one for me that stands out. What have you on catcher?
To me, so when I was putting my list together, I wasn't just thinking about the offensive side of the ball. I was thinking about everything.
Oh, how comprehensive, Gary.
I don't know.
Hold on.
I don't know how you don't pick Pudge Rodriguez.
I almost did.
At this point, I think there's only a slight argument to be made that he isn't the greatest defensive catcher ever, and it'd just be between him and Hottie Molina. But I think Pudge is the best defensive catcher ever. And he was a good hitter.
Yep.
He wasn't an amazing hitter, but he was a good hitter.
Yep.
But if he was behind a dish, you knew things were going to go pretty well.
Yeah.
From a pitching standpoint and from a fielding standpoint behind the dish.
Yeah.
91 Upper Deck Final Edition is his probably most sought after rookie. You can get PSA 10s for like $50, $55. They're not expensive. But if you're building something like this, which I'm in doing this exercise, it makes me kind of want to build this little set and display it.
Well, and here's the cool thing. You're able to do this on the cheap.
Oh, yeah. You could probably, I mean, with the Tiffany's, if I did my list with the Tiffany's, I'd probably spend 18 grand. But if I didn't do Tiffany's, I could do it really cheap.
Yeah. Up next, first base. I think we have the same person. Let's say it on the count of 3. 1, 2. Frank Thomas.
Yeah.
I beat
Big
you.
hurt.
There's really nothing to think about on this
Tommy
one.
was my honorable mention guy there.
But
Thomas was so much better of an average hitter, and he had just about as much power.
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing Tommy in AAA with the Clippers. It was really weird late in his career.
Jim Tomey was a slightly more fit version of John Kruk who could hit it a mile.
Yeah, he was swinging a sledgehammer.
Yeah, but you could tell that this dude did not lift weights. He drank a lot of beer. He ate what he wanted to eat.
Hell yeah!
He was not a physical specimen. But no, Frank Thomas, such a smooth swing for such a big human.
Yes. Yep. Finesse.
It didn't look like he was swinging hard, but he could hit bombs. And his obvious rookie card, the one you want to get if you can get one, is the 1990 Topps No Name.
Do you have any idea? I should have asked you earlier what that's going for ballpark.
25 to 30 grand in a PSA 9, 200 grand in a PSA 10.
About raw.
If you can find one and you can verify that it's real, 6 to 8 grand.
Yeah. It's a cool card.
No, it is. The thing about that card, though, is this, and this is something to really keep in mind. If you want to chase that card, there's still an awful lot of unopened 1990 Topps cases.
That's true.
That you can get pretty cheap. Like, you can get those boxes for about $30 to $35 a box.
We should get a case.
So you get a 12-box case for $600, $650.
Look, we're going to lose money, but we should get a case of that.
Oh, that'd be fun.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah, rip that.
If you're sitting on cases of 90 Topps, hit us up. Up next, second base. I'll let you go first.
Easy one, Roberto Alomar.
It wasn't so easy for me.
Because you hate the guy, but from a baseball standpoint, it's super easy.
Was it Roberto or Sandy that spit on somebody in a game?
Roberto.
Yeah.
It was an umpire that he spit on.
How despicable.
What?
How despicable.
You played baseball. How many umps did you want to spit on?
Couple.
Plead the fifth?
Couple. And we had some doozies in the Bible College League.
I bet you did.
Some of them just walked straight out of the bar because, $20 is $20 to umpire that game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. To me, there wasn't in that era there wasn't a guy who was a better all-around baseball player at that position. And I would argue that from an all-around baseball standpoint, for about a 4 or 5 year window, he might have been the best all-around player in baseball, with the exception of Barry Bonds.
I could not stomach going with Alomar, so I went with a safer bet with Craig Biggio.
Okay.
Not a lot of hobby love. Just
89 Donruss for Alomar, by the way.
Okay, yeah, and same for Biggio. Not a lot of hobby love, but just a consistent good ball
Hall
player.
of Famer.
Long career. Hall
Yeah.
of Famer.
For me, I thought about Biggio, but he started his career as a catcher, and then he finished his career at second base. If he had played catcher his entire career, he might not have made the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Hard to say. Third base, I'll go first. This isn't the one that I'm cheating
Cheater.
on, but I couldn't not. I looked over the other third baseman, and I was like, you guys stink.
They didn't, though. I found
They
one.
didn't, but
found
I
one.
wanted to go with Chipper Jones on this. This is
Yeah.
my wife's favorite baseball player.
Yeah. You were thinking because his rookie card is 91.
Yeah,
that
rookie
you were
card
safe.
91. And he has some cool SPs in like some of the upper deck baseball stuff. Like I have a hollow of him.
Yep.
There was a few creative ones. Like they knew that this guy was going to be a stud.
First overall pick.
Yeah, it
But
was.
he
a
did not lose
no-brainer.
rookie eligibility until 1995, sir.
So technically, this is a loss. But the most desirable rookie card for me would be that 1991 Topps Desert Shield.
the Desert Storm ones, yeah.
Yeah, Desert Shield. I said.
Yeah.
Not the same. Kind of. Up next,
Oh,
shortstop.
I don't get to do my third
Oh,
baseman?
fine.
Look at you just bouncing around. I actually went with a third baseman who played during the period of time that we said we were doing this from. So, Matt Williams. Matt Williams was a beast. And
He was.
everybody kind of forgets about Matt Williams, but he was one of the most feared power hitters in the game, and he was just intense in a way that you don't see very often. Like people were afraid of him in general, and you saw that as a manager too. People were afraid of him in general. Like he's an intense dude. Hit almost 500 home runs. Really good player.
Yep.
And
up
his
next-
87 Topps traded Tiffany again.
Up next, same set, shortstop, same player.
Yeah, easy.
1, 2, 3.
Barry Larkin. Yep.
Not much to think about there.
Nope.
When you talk about well-rounded athlete, baseball player, consistent, dedicated, teammate, I've watched him. I can't tell you how many times growing up.
Yep.
Seeing him in person too, he always seemed like somebody that you can't really know this, but he seemed like somebody that had character, that was
Yeah,
well
seemed like a good guy.
respected.
Yeah.
I mean, if he could have, he was a part of a championship team. I'm glad he wasn't traded. Had he been traded to some other powerhouse team as the Reds were heading down, I think he still would have had his stats would have been a lot more padded than they are now.
Yeah, I think one of the things about a guy like Barry Larkin, and you see how the focus in the sport in general has changed. Barry Larkin now would be a super desirable sabermetrics guy who would never, ever make the Hall of Fame if he started his career now. Because everybody puts so much weight just on the offensive side of the ball. And not even just on the offensive side of the ball, but just when you're at the dish. Barry Larkin stole bases. He hit for average. He had reasonable pop, 15 to 20 home run pop, and was one of the smoothest fielding shortstops in a 20-year window.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, he would have got more love if he didn't cross career paths with Ozzie Guillen.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, left field. I think we're the same on this one too.
Are we the same on left field? I mean, I don't think you cannot be.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the most home runs ever.
Barry Bonds.
Barry
Bonds should have been he should be in the Hall of Fame right now. And there's no question about it.
Fine. Take 70 away.
Take his entire career with the Giants away, and he's still a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yep.
Just the 10 years he was in Pittsburgh.
Just the freaking earring, bro, and the mustache. I'm talking skinny Bonds, Pirates, like
Hall
what
of
a
Famer
wish.
before he went to San Francisco.
Topps Tiffany once again. For those of you that don't know, there was a separate set. Tiffany, highly desirable, glossy.
Glossy, both
Sometimes
sides, yeah.
you'll find them mixed in with other commons.
You will. You got to really look. That's why it's when you go to flea markets and antique malls and things like that, it's worth digging through. 86 Topps traded Tiffany, Barry Bonds PSA 10's a $10,000 to $12,000 card.
And Barry Bonds is still undervalued.
Yeah, I think he'll eventually get in Vets Committee.
Yeah, long-term play, when you look at all-time greats in baseball, I still think he is undervalued.
Well, he's only undervalued because
In
of
the hobby.
steroids. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day we'll see that change. Just let everybody juice the same amount. Right field.
Yes, we got right field. and
We
center
have different
field
ones on
left.
this.
We do have different ones on this. I went with somebody that I really liked, not a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you go with? I'll go last.
I went with Gary Sheffield.
Oh, you went with a non-Hall of Famer
Yeah.
too then.
I went with Gary Sheffield just because I so enjoyed watching him play. This is more nostalgic than anything.
I loved watching him hit. His batting
Oh
stance
my
was
gosh,
amazing.
the way he hit and how he set up his timing, like mechanically, it breaks so many rules.
Yep.
How much movement was in the bat?
So many holes.
Yeah, and
But Vlad Sr. was the
I
same
was
way.
just getting ready to say that Vlad was the same way with that. The difference between them and everyone else is their hands are infinitely faster.
Yeah.
These are people that would know nothing about golf, but their hands are so good that they would find a way to have the club face square to the ball.
It's like watching Mike Trout hit a drive. You ever see Mike Trout hit a drive? You're
Well,
just
he hit
like,
one out of Top
yes,
Golf.
exactly. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah, and it was like with their clubs.
Yeah.
Which, if you've been to Top Golf, it's like you remember the old school, like when you had PE and they had an aluminum bat that just had like a rubber sleeve.
Yeah.
and it was gonna hurt your pinky no matter
and you
what.
had that golf ball at Top Golf that is lighter, and it has a computer chip in it. And I hit, if I'm playing golf
There we go.
and I'm mashing that
Here
day,
we go.
I'll hit the ball 280 to 285 off the tee.
Well, that's a little more honest than normal.
At Top Golf, if I hit one as good as I can possibly hit it, it's going to go 235.
yeah.
Might try to hit one out.
But Gary Sheffield, for me, for rookies, I don't think that this is the most common established rookie card, but I love the 89 Upper Deck where he's sitting in the dugout. It's just kind of iconic for me. So
I
that'd be
think
my
his
right
most
fielder.
sought after one's probably 89 Donruss, but I'm with you. I went with Kenny Lofton. Kenny Lofton,
Love
and
Kenny Lofton.
he was a little bit of a cheat for me because he only spent about 3 years of his career playing right field. He played center for most of his career, but I couldn't not put my center fielder that I picked at center field. Kenny Lofton, in my opinion, should be in the Hall of Fame. I think that it's borderline travesty that he's not, and I think the only reason he's not is because he played for so many different teams. But a sustained high level of production over a 15-year period, and there was probably a 3 or 4 year window, at least in the middle of his career, where he was a top 3 or 4 outfielder in the game. So, and he was fast as all get out, man. Just blazed on the base paths.
Awesome. Which
Last
card?
one,
Did you
center
say?
field.
Was I not listening?
No, we
rookie
didn't.
card?
Oh, his rookie card? 91 Bowman.
Okay. The last one is the same. The little guy known as the Kid.
Yeah.
The purest swing that I've seen in my lifetime.
I don't know that there's when you consider longevity and overall baseball, I don't know that there's been a better center fielder. I mean, people might say Mantle, but Mantle's knees got so bad so early in his career that he became just average in the field for the last half of his career. Griffey got beat up too, but if he was on the field even late in his career, he wasn't a liability.
You
up
better
there.
be hitting that ball 420, not 410,
Yeah.
because he will
was
catch
getting
it.
there.
He
Yeah.
will get up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so fun to watch. 89 Upper Deck is the iconic card. The card that changes the hobby, really.
Oh, 100%.
In good ways and in bad ways.
Yep.
It's tough for me when I think about Griffey. As a kid that grew up a Reds fan, I was 5 years old, 6 years old in the '90 series. I remember celebrating. I remember running around the living room, but there wasn't only so much I could retain.
Rob Dibble.
Rob Dibble, Nasty
Nasty
Boys,
Boys.
Chris Sabo, Barry Larkin, Eric Davis, the
Norm
list.
Charlton.
Oh, the list goes on. But
I thought for sure you were going to put Eric Davis down as your center
I
fielder.
thought about it, but it would have been so cliche. But when Griffey was traded up to Cincinnati, the expectations, because Cincinnati was making a lot of moves then, I was so excited. And I spent a lot of time frustrated with Griffey being injured. But, I'll never forget him hitting his 500th home run on Father's Day.
Yep.
There were some really cool moments, but he was pretty beat up by the time he got to Cincinnati.
Yep. He would have thrived now as a DH only when he got to Cincinnati if he was playing now late in his career. Yeah.
Yeah, would have been a lot longer. That was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I mean,
could
there
do
were some
another
honorable
one.
mention guys that I, like, as a kid, watch and play that never got the love they deserved. I didn't think guys like Will Clark.
Will Clark had so much pop.
Yeah, Ellis Burks.
Hold on, I'm gonna say
you
one
wanna
thing.
talk about Will Clark?
Did you ever watch the Little League World Series that had like Sheffield and Will Clark and those guys in it?
No.
Pull it up on YouTube after this. If you're listening, you haven't checked it out. Will Clark in Little League is swinging like a man amongst kids.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was like his range, his stride, like mechanically what was happening. But yeah, unbelievable swing.
Yeah. Guys like Will Clark. Ellis Burks was a guy. I was talking to somebody at the show this last weekend. I had a bunch of 1988 Donruss cello cases, and I sold several of them. And we were talking about the fact that Ellis Burks was a big chase in that product. And as a kid, Ellis Burks was hitting 28, 30 home runs in Boston. And I was looking at his career numbers. I had kind of forgotten. Ellis Burks played for 14 years. He hit almost 400 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was a really good player for a long time. Rafael Palmeiro, another steroid guy.
He seemed to get a lot
Jose
more
Canseco.
shade than everybody else.
Well, I think that the thing that really killed Rafael Palmeiro was going in front of Congress and literally pounding his hand on
Yeah.
the table.
I remember that.
I did not do this. Everybody's lying. And then obviously he did it a lot. Canseco, McGuire, and Sosa
Yeah.
all came up in that period of time. But my 9, I would feel pretty good rolling that lineup out 162 games a year.
The one I really wanted to throw in, but that technically didn't count. I tried to get it because he went AAA and in on 84 was Kirby Puckett.
Yeah, no.
So I gave you one of them. I just wouldn't give you Chipper, you know. But Kirby Puckett, the athleticism for his build, his vertical was ridiculous.
Yep.
A lot of fun to watch. So I think we could add this segment in and mix up different decades.
Yeah,
and
we can do some stuff like
do
that. It's fun.
basketball, maybe
Enjoy.
foosball.
Foosball would be fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, I that's all I got today. What else you got? You got anything?
No, I think we're pretty good. Everybody start getting ready for football season, and from a hobby standpoint, figure out who you want to target, and figure out who you think you can make some money on. I think that this year's draft class is going to be the first one that we who have been stocking up on Hall of Fame defensive players that are still playing might finally see some of those rewards come, because when you got guys like Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau and Sauce Gardner, when you don't have quarterbacks to chase, then you're going to start seeing these defensive guys go for big money. And if you start seeing rookie autographs of Aiden Hutchinson selling for $500 or $600, that by default means that my Aaron Donald rookie autos should be worth $3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, don't forget. Oh, one thing we haven't asked for in a while. We're going to ask you a favor.
money.
No, spread the word about the podcast. If you've been a listener for a while, whenever you hop into Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening, a lot of times there's a place to leave a review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Yes, please.
Hopefully it's positive, but if not, we want to know what we can do to make it
If
better.
not, we'll just delete it.
Yeah, is that an option?
I don't think so.
We want to be the worst rated podcast in sports cards. Please don't do that.
Top one.
Yeah, we've got a couple on there, but that'd be a great way to help us out, get the word out, bump us up in the list. And then, guys, before long, we're millionaires, and we're buying Mickey Mantle rookies.
Yeah, not for you, but we'll enjoy them ourselves.
We'll go live. We'll let you see us holding it. All right, that's it up. This has been the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
See ya.
Peace.